In this video, I'm going to go through whether the timing of your meals affects your weight, your health, your performance. So basically what times of day you should be eating. And I'll go through the myths first. So myth number one is that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It simply isn't true. It was based on a study that was funded by Kellogg's. The study took breakfast eaters and breakfast skippers, and the results showed that there was no significant difference, health or weight loss wise, in regards to whether you should be having breakfast or not. But in the conclusion, they wrote that breakfast should be included as part of a healthy diet, which they only did because it was funded by Kellogg's. That's that one out of the way. Next one, carbs shouldn't be eaten in the evening after 6 p.m. Otherwise it will cause weight gain. Again, a load of rubbish. You can have your carbohydrates when you want. I will go into something a little bit later in this video on carbohydrate bunching, but you can eat your carbs whenever you want them. You can have them in the evening. It's not going to cause weight gain. So ignore that one. And the last one is you should be eating little and often. Doesn't matter how many meals you have a day, especially when it's in regards to weight and health. So you could be having 2 meals a day, you could be having 6 meals a day. Completely your preference, whatever suits your lifestyle. Don't worry if you're only having 2 meals a day, as long as those 2 meals, you're getting enough calories, you're not overeating if you're wanting to lose weight, and you're not undereating if you're wanting to gain weight. So it's personal preference. 2, 6, anywhere in between, doesn't matter. One thing I will say in regards to meal timing is that you should try and stick to a regular meal pattern. So if you have 3 meals a day and you have them morning, midday, evening, and you have them like that every day, that is a great way of eating. One thing that's bad for weight gain and health is an erratic eating pattern. So if you have 2 meals one day and then you have 4 meals the next day and you have them all at different times, then it's not great for weight loss or health. So try and stick to a regular eating pattern. That's the only time that it really impacts health and weight. The other thing is that performance is affected by meal timing slightly. So if you're wanting to get stronger, build muscle, you want to be having a protein feeding every 3 hours. If you are training for an event, especially an endurance event, it's worth manipulating your carbohydrates, but it gets really scientific, and for most people you just don't need to know it. If you really want that information, I can talk you through it. Message me and I'll talk you through it in a phone call or next time I see you. But don't worry about when you have your carbohydrates unless you want to use it as a dieting method. So I think in one of my previous videos I mentioned that low carbohydrate diets aren't better than fat loss diets, so you don't need to worry about that. But there is some evidence to show that carbohydrate bunching is a way of creating weight loss. So carbohydrate bunching is when you put your carbohydrates for the day into one portion of the day. So you might put them into your evening meal. So that means that your breakfast and your lunch, you have very low carbs, and then your evening meal is high in carbs, maybe pasta, rice, potatoes, whatever. Or you do it the other way, where you have your toast, your cereal in the morning, and then in the evening you keep it low carbohydrate. And there's some evidence to show that by carbohydrate bunching, it might reduce the amount of calories you have overall in the day, which means it's going to lead to weight loss. Some dieting methods manipulate when you eat. So if you're someone who wants to lose weight, then there's things like intermittent fasting, windowed eating, 5-2 diet, alternate day fasting, 36-hour fasting. All of those they're kind of weight loss methods. If it works for you, it works for you. So intermittent fasting is where you might do a period of the day where you don't eat. So you might say that you're not going to eat before 11 o'clock, or you're not going to eat after 7 o'clock in the evening. And then that gives you a window of time that you can eat within. So that's something like a 16-8 diet, where 8 hours a day you can eat. So between 11 and 7 p.m. you eat in that time, and the remainder of the time you don't. The other thing is something like your 5-2 or your alternate day fasting, where you have very low calories on 2 days and then 5 days you eat at maintenance. Or if you're doing the alternate day, It's 1 day of eating at maintenance, 1 day of eating at 500 calories, 1 day of eating at maintenance, etc. One thing that could be good if you wanted to start a diet is a 36-hour fast, especially if you've had a few days of overeating. Say you've been on holiday and you've had a lot of meals and you've overeaten for a week. That can actually up-regulate how much food your body wants. So you don't just go back to the way you ate before. Sometimes your body craves a little more if you've been overeating for a certain period of time, in which case you can reset that with a 36-hour fast, which is where you have your evening meal, you go to bed, the next day you don't eat anything. You can drink, but you don't eat anything, and then you have your breakfast the next day. So that's a 36-hour fast, might be useful. So other than those dieting methods, for health, there's absolutely no reason why you can't have 2 or 6 meals. Just stick to a regular meal pattern. Weight loss, you can manipulate when you eat, just if you want to. There's no one size fits all for that. So it's up to you what you want to use it for. For performance and things like endurance events, there's a bit more science behind it. And if you want to know any more, I can give you that information. One thing I will say is that shift workers, if you're a shift worker and you work throughout the night and then other days you don't, it is going to impact your weight. That's when shift workers, or there's been loads of studies done on shift workers, and being someone in that job means that you're likely going to be more unhealthy than someone who wasn't. So if you're a shift worker and there's any way of getting out of those shifts, then try and give it a go. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job and find another job, but quit your job and find another job. Anyway, based on personal preference, eat when you want, as long as it's a regular pattern. There you go, that's meal timings for you.